Good evening, everyone. I'm Anandu, the interview coordinator at VAIDHA LEGAL. Welcome to the first episode of our video series titled Beyond the Courtroom, where we bring before you the stalwarts in various fields of law. The intention of this series is to provide a perspective about the various arenas of law and make the life of the law students easier. The guest of honor of our today's interview session is Advocate Ms. Aastha Chadha, who is having an experience of 7+ years in the legal profession and a third-gen lawyer. She is currently practicing in the Honorable High Court of Delhi. Ma'am, it gives us immense pleasure and honor to have you here. On behalf of the law students and VAIDHA Law Journal, we extend our warm welcome to you.
Thank you so much.
Ma'am, at the very outset, could you elaborate upon your journey from being a fresh law graduate from Chowdhury Charan Singh University in the year 2015 to an advocate practicing in the Honorable High Court of Delhi?
Okay, so the cliche, the journey has been full of ups and downs. I graduated in 2015, and after that, there was this confusion that I think almost all law graduates have ki judiciary karni hai ya litigation. So I enrolled myself for an LLM. I did my LLM from Kurukshetra University in business laws, and I started practicing. So there were two things I was doing. I started practicing. That gave me the practical outlook. What happens in the real life? You know, we read a lot of books, but when you step out, the real world is completely different, right? So it gave me that. And then I started preparing for my judiciary. So that helped me go in the depths of law, read various bare acts, various laws, state laws, central laws. So I did that. Then after kept on doing that, wrote a few mains also. But after a point of time, the advocacy won. The love for it just was beyond everything else. So I continued practicing full time, right? After that, now अब सोच तो लिया है कि क्या करना है. Then the question is how I started the advocacy part, right? So I had this love for family law, I think, since first year of law college or even before that. Even before when I was preparing for my entrance exams and all, this love was already there. Women laws and personal laws. So the first mentor or senior I joined, the first chamber I joined it keeping in mind that the majority cases out there were matrimonial cases. So I did that for quite some time. After that, अब समझ आ गया ये आ चुका है. The limited number of cases that family law has, I could manage that. Then it was time to diversify. So I joined another chamber of a senior where majorly the practice was on the civil side. Did that for a while. After that, again, private practice करनी थी. So बहुत मुश्किल से, and after a lot of contemplation, I quit my job because I had to do it so that I could take my own cases. I quit my job, thought for 2 full days, अब क्या करना है, कैसे करना है. Then luckily for me, on I think the 3rd or the 4th day, someone I know called up and asked, a friend of mine needs a divorce. Would you be able to handle it? It was like, I was so happy. I said, of course, I'll handle it. Handle the thing, talk to the client, grab the client, and that was where it started. And the client was not in Delhi. So all these years I was practicing in Delhi, and now the first case I had was out of Delhi. So that happened. And one thing led to the other. When you get your first case and then one thing leads to the other. Then after I practiced, then the pandemic happened. And it was again a time jahan now there was no litigation for 2021 years. So all the 2021 days, the entire court system that was closed. Thought what to do, really fearful. Because badi mushkil se set honi shuru hui thi practice. So after that, what happened was I thought अब फिर diversify करना पड़ेगा. So me and my uncle, he is a chartered accountant and a law graduate. And he was in the corporate sector all this while. So we started helping HNIs, high net worth individuals out, where he handled their financial segment and I was handling the legal vertical. So that is how I was handling their succession matters, their property disputes, and he was helping them with the financial planning. So that is how we again diversified. Now, luckily for me, the litigations have, the courts have again started working, but now we have another vertical working. So I think my life has been all about changing from one place to the other, and just keeping, I'm always on a lookout for what works, what doesn't work. Now, recently, I started loving coming online, because, when the lockdown happened, I got invited for a webinar. Usse pehle everything, whenever all of us, we were invited. So we were invited for a physical, like went to a place, gave a speech there. But this webinar thing, I was invited and I thought, all right. And I'm not very good with technology. So but when I interacted with a few hundred people and especially students, I fell in love with it. So अब एक नया चीज शुरू हुई है where I'm trying to learn this part as well. So yeah, this has been my journey till now.
Indeed, ma'am. Definitely, this is something inspiring because you chose to follow the changes that you want. Now, ma'am, among the law students, there is an acute dilemma to choose the career between litigation and a corporate law, particularly among the fresh law graduates. From your experience, what all ways can a law student try to identify their field of interest when they are in the college itself?
I can personally understand this because when I entered law school, of course, I was not watching Suits at that time. I wish I was. But when I entered law school, I wanted to go in a corporate setup. It is the charm of the setup is something which calls it draws you towards itself. But then I joined law school, and as I told you, I fell in love with not a particular field, but a particular subject. And then I started working towards that subject. So for me, I think I found it too early. But then my dilemma was between, you've not added judiciary. Judiciary is a big dilemma which people have. So, I think there are three aspects: corporate laws, litigation, and judiciary that students struggle with. So I think the only way out is intern in as many places as possible, intern in as varied places as possible. Like you can have an internship in the corporate sector, you can a corporate law firm, you can have an internship as an in-house counsel, under an in-house counsel, then you can have an internship, say, as a under a judge, um, in NGOs and in startups. These days, the level of internships and the variety of internships you have is great. They are immense, the options. So you can have as many internships, as varied internships. And even if that doesn't help, then read as many topics as possible. Read about more number of laws, different kinds of laws, judgments. And slowly and steadily, you will start realizing which laws you love reading and which laws you're pressurized to read. These are two very, very different things. कुछ judgments होंगी ना, जैसे ही आएंगी, in a snap of a moment, you'll just open your live law or your bar and bench and you'll start reading them because you're interested in them. और कुछ आएंगी जो आपको बोले नहीं, it's a new development, I should read it. Yeah, I have to and I should का difference, I think, will help you out in choosing what you like to do.
While in the law school itself. Now, ma'am, when it comes to the profession, could you elaborate about a set of few skills that a law student must develop for a successful career in litigation?
Yes, of course. So let's start with basics. सबसे पहले, the first and foremost thing you have to do to become a practicing lawyer is acquire clients. So networking. The more number of people you know, and the more number of people that know what you do, where you practice, in what field you practice, how can you help them? Like anybody can know I'm a lawyer, but how many people know which problem of theirs can I solve? Right? So सबसे पहले है network. Meet more and more people, tell them more and more about what you do. Of course, as advocates, our biggest problem is हम advertise तो कर नहीं सकते. But say if you are in a wedding function, you're standing in a wedding function and some people are discussing something and you just find out what their problem is and you casually give them an advice of A, how they can prevent it, or B, if it's not preventable, how they can solve it, not how you can solve it for them, how they can solve it legally. So that way, more and more people will start having faith in you. So that's called networking, right? Now, once you've acquired a client, now the second step is client counseling. Because sometimes the clients can be extremely difficult to handle. They will come to you, they will have 10 different ideas about how their case should proceed. And then they'll go to 10 different lawyers and ask them what is happening. Then if you're drafting something, तो आपको एक कॉल आएगा कि वो कह रहे थे कि ये होना चाहिए. Now वो क्या है वो आपको नहीं पता. Is some faceless person. But वो 10 different persons की opinion लेके आपके पास आए हैं. So somewhere client counseling, listen more. Your ear should always be open when you're listening to the client, right? You have to then separate the wheat from the chaff. वो आपको अगर आधे घंटे की बात कर रहे हैं, आपको सिर्फ उतना उठाना है जितना आपके केस के लिए नेसेसरी है. So client counseling is a very varied thing, but this is one skill you need to have. Now you have the case, you have the client, you've counseled the client, now you know what the facts of the case are. The next is drafting. Write as much as possible. Even now, if you don't have any cases, now you're students, write mock drafts. Just draft, just imagine a problem and start drafting about it. So draft more. Drafting is a very big skill. After that, say now you've drafted the matter. In drafting, one skill is required, that is researching. And researching and effective researching are two very different things. Sometimes, I have interns, I give them a problem. I give them sometimes the specific problems also. And I get research on an entirely different thing. If I've told you that, for example, if I've told you research on legitimacy of children born out of live-in relationships. So I get research on live-in relationships validity. So effective research, and especially when you're researching for a matter, you have to narrow down. First, you read judgments which are in your favor. Then you have to read more and more and more judgments and come down to something which is almost identical with your facts of the matter. So researching will be the next skill. And then you have to convey whatever you've researched, whatever you've drafted, all of that you have to go and convince the judge. After all, the judge is also a human being. They need to be convinced that, of course, whatever you'll say, if they give a judgment in your favor, that will not land them in trouble. You recently must have read about the Bombay High Court judge, Miss Ganeriwala. She had to resign because of one judgment she gave, which according to her, it must have been the logical judgment to give. So you have to convince the judge by your oratory, by your drafting, that it is the right decision that they're giving. So the next will be how you speak. So practice more and more on that in both languages. In Hindi and in English, if you're practicing in the north, and if you're practicing in some other part of India, then the local language out there. So it will be, I would say, first of all, network, then client acquisition, client counseling, research, drafting, oratory. After that, of course, there are a lot of soft skills that come in handy in, I think, any profession you are in. And in litigation, time management is a big skill you need to acquire. And it comes with time. It comes after you are, scolded by your senior and the judge multiple times. There, I still remember an instance where I went to the court in the morning. I was an associate back then. I went to the court in the morning. Then I had a few matters at 10 a.m. Then I had a matter at 2 p.m. After that, there was a mediation that was there. So somewhere, I reached office around 4:30 p.m. And at 6 every day, our senior used to tell us that you have to read all the files that are assigned to your group for that are, that will take place tomorrow, all the matters. And at 6:30, we used to get to know which case will we go and handle tomorrow. So it was not something we were assigned. Now I've come back to office at 4:30, tired from the whole day, and at 6 o'clock I'm expected to read 8 files. I
Sorry,
could
ma'am.
not do it. So I went to the senior and the meeting was there and I was asked a question. I did not know the answer and I was punished. You know what was the punishment? The punishment was that I'll not go to court for the next 2 days and I'll read all the files that are there in the office. So time management is a very big thing where you have to differentiate between urgent, important, and what can happen tomorrow. And that will help you a lot in litigation because litigation is very, very stressful and extremely time consuming. So you will
Exactly.
have to understand this difference.
And tomorrow, if there is an opportunity under you to work as an associate litigator, what are the employable skills that you look on that particular applicant to get hired?
I think it will be hard work. Um, it'll be hard work. It'll be sincerity, and it'll be persistence and wanting to learn more. Because when any all seniors know that somebody who's a fresh graduate will know the law, some of them don't even know the law because we know the condition of the law schools in India. So all seniors know that they will know the law or they can be taught the law. And specifically with law is such a diverse field, even today I may not know a lot of laws. And there'll be new laws coming in every year or 2 years. But these three skills are very important. I think these are the skills that helped me in my first job and my second job, even in my practice. That is, you have to be hardworking, otherwise, you cannot survive litigation. It is a tough job. You have to be in court every morning. You have to come back, howsoever tired you have to prepare for the next day. Second is sincerity. Even when you don't have work, you have to sit in the chamber, you have to read more files, you have to do something which is important. And when you will join offices, you will realize that there are some people who are just roaming around in the corridors, doing nothing, sitting over a cup of tea for hours, chilling. So that is important. Sincerity is very important. And the willingness to learn is very important. Okay, fine, you don't know it. Are you willing to learn? The rest all can be taught. I think it's just the attitude that matters. Rest all can be taught. There are sometimes I have emails where people have sent me their CV and there are small little mistakes that they've made, dear sir, oblique ma'am. And I can sometimes see that in the CC, somebody else is also marked. I know that. But honestly, I don't believe that the mail should be rejected just on that basis. Because these are skills that can be taught. In a corporate setup also, they teach all this. Soft skills are taught. What cannot be taught is if you're serious about your work or not. And I think that is something that I look forward to always, be it my interns, be it associates, be it anybody.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. You have mentioned that surviving as a litigating lawyer is a difficult task, we all know.
Hmm.
But if you are a women litigator, I have seen them
Hmm.
face a lot of additional hardships, like dealing with the
Hmm.
societal expectations, biasness in the
Hmm.
profession, and a lot other. What is your
Hmm.
take on this? That is, women in litigation.
First of all, the way the question is put up, I like that. Simply because I have a serious problem with the word woman litigator or a woman lawyer or a woman advocate. Because advocate or a lawyer is a gender neutral term. So when you said women in litigation, your question is very well put up. So now, being an litigator, being an advocate in itself is a very difficult job. Like I told you, in the beginning of the career, you have to be your own clerk, you have to be your own office boy, you have to be your own receptionist, apart from being the person who drafts, the person who posts, the person who researches, and the person who argues. So, and after that, after all of this, after a long day at work, you have to sometimes go for parties and network also. So, it is in itself a very difficult job. And it becomes even more difficult for women in litigation because of two things. Number one, that the infrastructure is such that it doesn't support women in litigation. There are some courts where the even the basic necessities like toilets are either in unfathomable conditions or they are just not there. You have to look for toilets. And secondly, even the people around you are not, they are not habitual to seeing women around them. So it is just that sometimes they are invisible. They will ask, like, I will ask you a question and you will answer it to my colleague. It's like that. Even if the colleague is a year junior. So this is a problem. Sometimes people are not. I think the major problem is this: that this field, especially litigation, is not meant for women in the minds of the others. So these things will happen. You will talk to somebody, and they will reply to your colleague, the male colleague. Then one thing that I personally witnessed was I was in the Delhi High Court and I was in the elevator. And now I'm talking of which High Court? Delhi High Court. So we are in a metropolitan city in the High Court. And I'm in the elevator and there are around four males and I was the only female in the elevator. They were the senior advocate. He was a designated senior advocate. He very sweetly asked another junior, why have you grown a beard? So the man said that, sir, otherwise people don't take me seriously. I have to look a little old. Now there's no problem in this conversation up till now, right? Suddenly, this old person very genuinely asks, what about the women? They can't grow a beard. How will they look old? So this young man says, sir, उनको बड़ा नहीं लगना होता ना, उनको सिर्फ सुंदर लगना होता है और उनको लिटिगेशन में ध्यान थोड़ी है, उनको तो सिर्फ अच्छा दिखना है. Now, it's a very benevolent thing to say, yet it has something which you're thinking of. So things like this are there. Sometimes there'll be people saying, telling a senior, why are you sending this girl to do the basic jobs? Send a boy while she be running around. So these are things. But luckily for me, and I'm very, very luckily for me, I haven't faced it. Maybe because I started out in Delhi, maybe because I started out in South Delhi, and maybe because the seniors I had were amazing people. Amazing people. But yes, I won't lie when I say that when I was looking for where to start, with which chamber to start, I was looking for a woman lawyer, woman senior. And it was only because that the stories we had heard, and considering the fact that I come from a family of lawyers, so my grandfather was a lawyer. He was a very celebrated lawyer in Meerut and Allahabad High Court. So he was in UP, and you know the condition of UP. So somewhere litigation and women, हमारे घर में भी थोड़ा सा stress था इस बात पे. And so the first senior I had was a woman senior, and then the second senior I had was a male, and I think I never ever felt that he was discriminating. Even when he was giving jobs, he was giving all of us the same jobs. So I have personally, luckily not felt or faced any of this. But maybe it was my location.
We also wish to have lawyers like you, ma'am, who take the people like as benevolently. And ma'am, the scope of litigation is very wide. If there is this one particular area in litigation which is going to boom in the future or is booming right now, which is that? And how can one pursue on that field?
I think this generation is extremely lucky because you are living in a world where the Indian economy is booming. So when the Indian economy is booming, the opportunities are more, the paying capacity of people are increasing, and when there'll be growth in the economy, there'll be growth in every sector, including litigation. When more and more people will start startups, there'll be more and more startup lawyers required. When technology will grow, tech lawyers will are required, right? I think Family lawyers, lawyers handling family matters, be it matrimony, be it succession, be it child custody. This field will also grow a lot because we know we are moving towards a more metropolitan society where we are accepting that there is something called a live-in relationship and we are okay with it. We are accepting that divorce is normal and we are okay with it. So this litigation will, I think, grow manyfold. Then alternate dispute resolution. The Supreme Court is also pushing towards more measures, alternate dispute resolutions being measures being taken. I think these are a few fields that will grow exponentially. And I think new opportunities like sports law, like even virtually, you can be lawyers these days. You can have your own, you can be experts in contract drafting and agreements, and you can start a virtual career. आजकल तो आपको ऑफिस में भी नहीं रहना है. So I think this generation will see a lot of growth in all these fields, and I think way many more. Even artificial intelligence requires its own laws. Copyrights, जितना आपका YouTube and Instagram is growing, आपको copyrights पे बहुत काम आ सकता है. So I think these are a few career options that you can look up to.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, your reply actually brings us to another very important question. This is an age of alternative dispute resolutions, that is the ADR. Even the Apex Court is aggressively pushing mediation before litigation on an issue. Does this increasing trend affect the role of the litigating lawyers? And if yes, how can they cope up with this paradigm shift?
Honestly, I have been suggesting all my clients to take alternative dispute resolutions, I think, since a few years now. And I've realized one thing: the more I suggest them alternative methods, the more work I get. Because the more client trust is on me. When the client knows you're not working for money, you're working for their benefit. Of course, you will charge your money. But there's a client trust. When you tell them, don't go in for a litigation which will take you 10 years, instead go in for something which, give it a shot, give alternate dispute resolution a shot. Client trust is built. So firstly, I think it's every lawyer's duty somewhere to suggest their client that there is a shorter, easier, um, time saving and money saving option that will not harm you in the long run. Simple, I'll tell you a simple thing: quantity and quantity of cases. What is, whenever you're talking of businesses, they say, "Na, what's your fast moving item, right? Which will be off the shelf just like that." So similarly, अगर आपका ये केस थोड़ा छोटा चलता है ना, तो उतनी ही स्पीड में आप मल्टीपल केसेस कर सकते हो. कम, यू विल अर्न अ लिटिल लेस, बट यू विल अर्न वे मोर इन मल्टीपल्स. सो पहला तो ये है, एक क्लाइंट, अगर आपको ऑल्टरनेट डिस्प्यूट रेजोल्यूशन की तरफ आप क्लाइंट को भेजते भी हो, इवन इफ यू आर नॉट हैंडलिंग, स्टिल आप भेजते भी हो, क्लाइंट कॉन्फिडेंस बढ़ता है, वर्ड ऑफ माउथ से आपके पास नया काम आता है. सेकेंडली, इस वक्त हमारी कोर्ट्स ओवरलोडेड है. आई थिंक 50 ईयर्स तक भी अगर लिटिगेशन, ये ऑल्टरनेट डिस्प्यूट रेजोल्यूशन आप चलाते रहोगे, फिर भी कोर्ट में से काम कम नहीं होने वाला. बट यस, प्रेशर कम हो जाएगा. एंड जितना लोगों को लगेगा ना कि इट्स ईजियर टू गेट जस्टिस, it's faster to get justice, I think more and more people will exercise their rights. Abhi kya hota hai, a lot of time people just do not file a case just because 20 saal lagenge. So maybe more and more people will start exercising their rights, and this in itself is a very big career opportunity. Become an ADR lawyer.
Exactly, ma'am, exactly. Likewise, the litigation is in fact getting saturated every single day. How can one diversify their area of expertise and keep them afloat in this cutthroat competition?
Firstly, I don't think litigation is very, very crowded. There are a lot of lawyers. I would say there are a lot of law graduates. But how many of them are competent lawyers? Quality का dearth अभी भी है and रहेगा. You visit courts in the interiors, you visit courts, you just go to courts, you'll understand कि काम नहीं हो रहा है. नंबर ज्यादा है सिर्फ. Good lawyers, competent lawyers, lawyers who are reading every day, lawyers who know their jobs. So I think good lawyers, lawyers who read, lawyers who know the law, and lawyers who want to work for the betterment of their clients are still very, very few. And that is why you see very selected lawyers doing extremely well. Client confidence, जिस दिन आपके पास है, you are standing out from the crowd already. You do not need anything else. If you are being there for your client on every date, despite everything, come what may, इंडियन मतलब क्लाइंट्स तो इतने उसी में खुश है, आप उनके लिए पहुंचे हो, आपने लास्ट मोमेंट कोई बहाना नहीं मारा. सो आई थिंक डर्थ अभी भी गुड टैलेंट का आज भी डर्थ है, और आई थिंक वो हर जगह है. लिटिगेशन एक इकलौती फील्ड नहीं है, इट इज एवरीवेयर. If you're good, if you know your law, if you know your job, you are in demand.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much. Now, one more thing. You interact with a lot of interns on a daily basis. What are some of the common mistakes they do while their internship going on? And what suggestions would you like to give to those people?
Well, way too many. And we've all done those mistakes. So, first of all, and especially this is happening more with the virtual internships. First of all, would be they are not responding properly, as in they take the work. And I have a peculiar habit. If the work is not very, very urgent, I tell them to set their own deadlines. Because I know, when you are in school, तो आपकी टीचर आपको होमवर्क देती है. But when you are in college, you are set free. And you have to learn to set your own deadlines. Similarly, I do the same because I know in the end you have to become professionals. You're here for a month, 2 months, 3 months. So first of all, they are not responding to their deadlines, not working hard, sitting on the job, and not submitting in time. What happens with that is one intern who's serious enough gets 30 tasks a month. One intern who's not serious enough gets 10 tasks a month. Now, first difference तो आपका यहीं आ गया. Second difference is they are not maintaining relationships, which means they are neither maintaining relationships before they ask for an internship, nor are they maintaining relationships after they get their certificates. उससे क्या होता है? Like I told you, litigation is all about network. If I'm not in touch with my seniors, then there are very less chances that they will refer a case to me. That is one thing they need to learn. And I think one more thing that they need to learn is being professional. Just because आप इस वक्त एक ऑनलाइन उसमें बैठे हो जहां आप पे कोई प्रेशर नहीं है, बट दैट डजंट मीन कि आप अपनी प्रोफेशनल उस पर छोड़ देते हो. सेट अ रूटीन, बी ऑन टाइम. If you're not able to attend some place, not able to, go to courts, attend court hearings, work in time, draft more and more, read more and more, रिसर्च करो. मैंने आपको पहले भी जैसे बोला था कि टॉपिक कोई और दो, रिसर्च किसी और चीज की आती है. तो आप अप्लाई करने से पहले फर्म का नाम चेक नहीं करते, आप रैंडमली अप्लाई करते हो. So these are few things. And I think one more thing, and this is, I wouldn't say somewhere they're lagging. I think it's some mistake they're commonly making is going in for short-term internships. 1 month of interning at a place, I don't think how much will it help you out. Because 1 महीना तो कभी कभी आपको किसी कंपनी का, किसी फर्म का वर्क कल्चर समझने में लग जाता है. तो I would suggest one thing, going for at least a 3-month, 4-month long internship. बिकॉज जब तक आपको समझ आना शुरू होता है कि हाउ डज दिस फर्म वर्क, आपका 1 मंथ का पीरियड खत्म हो जाता है. सो ऑप्ट फॉर मोर लॉन्ग टर्म इंटर्नशिप्स वेयर यू आर trying to learn more from the senior. Ask questions. Don't be scared to ask questions. कोई कुछ नहीं कहेगा. Everybody knows कि आप स्टूडेंट हो. सबको पता है कि आपको नहीं आता, इसीलिए आप यहाँ हो, वरना आप अपनी तरह अपना केस लड़ रहे होते ना. So ask questions. Don't be afraid. थोड़ी सी अगर कभी नॉर्मली सीनियर्स क्वेश्चंस पे नहीं डांटते, बट अगर समथिंग कुछ होता है, that doesn't mean कि आप खराब हो. Keep on asking questions. This mistake I have made a lot when I was learning. कि गलती नहीं करनी. अरे गलती तो होगी. But keep working, and keep asking questions. Of course, after you've researched. Not कि दिमाग में क्वेश्चन आया तो जाके पूछना ही है. पहले उस पे खुद रिसर्च करके, of course, then you'll ask questions.
Sure, ma'am. Sure. Thank you. Likewise, what do you expect from a fresh graduate? That like, are they supposed of knowing all the bare acts that are required in the litigation? Like, for example, the CRPC, CPC, and there is a these bare acts are actually flooding these times.
Right.
And are they supposed to know all those things?
This is a very good question. Actually, I was somebody who knew all the bare acts, at least the major ones, because I told you I was preparing for judiciary. So I knew section-wise all bare acts. And that really helped me because sometimes my senior was in a meeting. She would just call out, Aastha, I used to go there and she used to ask, ये section किसका है? I used to say, ma'am, कौन से act का? इस act का. Okay. So I used to tell her that. And it had become so much that somewhere she got addicted to me being there. So that helped me a lot with my career because somewhere उससे क्या होता है, when your senior or anybody you work with gets habituated to you, you get more opportunities. So for me, it really helped. Secondly, how it helped is कि मुझे ये सारे subjects आते थे, especially IPC, CRPC, CPC, evidence, contract, TPA. These are the main acts I think you should know. इसको तो everybody should know क्योंकि अगर आपको CRPC, CPC नहीं आता ना तो कोई भी law नहीं आता क्योंकि आपको procedure नहीं आता. अगर आपको evidence नहीं आता, you will be stuck in majority cases. ठीक है? तो these acts you should know. Firstly, इससे आपको फायदा तो होगा ही, नुकसान होने का तो कोई चांस ही नहीं है. And secondly, when you will be a fresh graduate, आपका आएगा bar exam, AIBE, right? AIBE में when I went for my AIBE, I went ऐसे ही खाली हाथ because I was not carrying anything, and I saw people dragging a trolley full of books. All right. So your first reaction is, oh my God, I made a mistake not getting my books. Right. That is your first reaction will never be, look at how stupid this person is that he's got all his books. Your first reaction is maybe this exam is so tough that I have made a mistake not getting my books. Okay. But what I saw was कि when I finished my paper, I had a revision time and even then I was free. And on the other hand, this person that I was so scared of, the movement was, it was all panic and the books were falling and she was, flipping through the pages and not able to answer because you could see the books and you will realize she has brought it just for the exam. So no index. She hasn't even read the index. How will she copy? So it is important. But now flip side to it. I joined my second chamber, right? The civil side practice. And an IBC matter came up, insolvency bankruptcy. And I had not read IBC in my life. Yes. Right? I did not know what was in it. Of course, I knew the basic, the outline, but I did not know. So I had to read again the entire thing. Before I had to reply to one notice. Our client had received a notice and we had to reply. So for that, I had to read the entire thing. तो ऐसा तो कभी लाइफ में नहीं हो सकता कि आपको सब आता हो. Law is very, very vast. Cut to came a point जहां मैंने private practice start करी and I started doing succession का matters. And according to me, succession क्या है? Hindu Succession Act है. Interstate succession. And there is something called an Indian Succession Act, which we do not read. And when you come in practice, you realize कि practically तो Indian Succession Act ही काम आता है. Hindu Succession Act तो काम ही नहीं आता आपके. So when you have to enforce it, तो फिर वही हुआ. Had to read it all again. तो ये तो होगा. But that being said, अगर आपने आईपीसी, सीआरपीसी, सीपीसी, एविडेंस कॉन्ट्रैक्ट इन्हें नहीं पढ़ा है ढंग से, वेर यू नो व्हेन समबडी सेज कि ये सेक्शन नंबर है, तो आप अगर बिल्कुल ही रिलेट नहीं कर पा रहे हो, then there is a problem, then you are doing something wrong. But yes, अगर आपको कोई minor laws के बारे में कुछ बोल रहा है, then of course it all about reading, right? My grandfather used to say कि bare acts पढ़े नहीं जाते, bare acts refer किए जाते हैं, right? But मेरा एक सिंपल कहना ये है कि रेफर करने के लिए भी आपने एक बार तो पढ़ा होना चाहिए ना.
Yes, ma'am.
So reading is important. You cannot go away from that. But हाँ, नई चीज आए तो उसको पढ़ना पड़ेगा.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And one last final question. Do you have anything to convey to the law students? Do you have anything else to
The
convey?
only thing I would like to convey is keep working hard. Take life as it comes. I am a control freak. I want to know what I'll do 10 years from now. All right. I have everything planned. Yet I have had to so many times diversify in life. And especially with the pandemic, I never thought I will do so many things I'm doing now. So take life as it comes. Do your thing, but be prepared. अगर आपने बेयर एक्ट नहीं पढ़ा है ना, you are doing something wrong. And सबसे one major thing I always tell all students is, please don't start with reading big books and commentaries and सबसे पहले बेयर एक्ट पढ़ो. बेयर एक्ट कैसे पढ़ा जाता है वो सीखो. बेयर एक्ट पढ़ना अगर आपको आता है, there are tricks, there is a way how you have to read a बेयर एक्ट. Definition clause is extremely important. Savings clause extremely important. जैसे जो हमारे ब्रिटिशर्स के टाइम के ड्राफ्टेड लॉज हैं, देयर इंग्लिश, मतलब हमारा जो आर्बिट्रेशन कंसिलिएशन एक्ट 1996 है, दैट्स वेरी इजी, इवन अ लेमैन कैन रीड इट. बट जो कॉन्ट्रैक्ट एक्ट है, दैट इज डिफिकल्ट टू रीड. यू हैव टू नो कि अगर 2 कॉमास लगे हैं तो उसके जो बीच का पार्ट है वो आपको स्टार्टिंग में डालना है, लास्ट में डालना है, कैसे पढ़ना है. अगर आप कॉन्ट्रैक्ट ड्राफ्ट कर रहे हो और आपने नॉट विथ स्टैंडिंग क्लॉज डाल दिया है, तो उसने तो सभी कुछ रिडंडेंट कर दिया है ऊपर का. सो दीज आर अ फ्यू थिंग्स यू नीड टू नो. तो सबसे पहले बेयर एक्ट पढ़ना सीखो. हाउ टू रीड अ बेयर एक्ट, very very important. Once you know how to read one, you will be able to read any and every bear act in the world. And first bear act पढ़ो, उसके बाद judgments पढ़ो, उसके बाद वो आपकी जितनी भी बड़ी बड़ी बुक्स हैं वो पढ़ो. But there is no substitute for a bear act. No substitute. So I think that is one thing I tell all law students. Bear act को नहीं छोड़ सकते आप. You know, whenever there are times when I meet people who tell me हम bear act नहीं पढ़ते. And these are lawyers I'm talking about. वो कहते हैं हम बेयर एक्ट नहीं पढ़ते, हम ना सीधा कमेंट्री से पढ़ते हैं. आप सीधा कमेंट्री से कैसे पढ़ सकते हो? कमेंट्री में उस राइटर का बायस इन्वॉल्व है. जजमेंट में दोनों पार्टीज की मेहनत, उनके बायसेस इन्वॉल्व हैं. जो उन्होंने पिटिशन और आपका रिटन स्टेटमेंट दिया है, उसी के बेसिस पे तो जजमेंट आया है. तो आप बेयर एक्ट स्किप नहीं कर सकते, आप हार्डवर्क स्किप नहीं कर सकते, आप सिंसेरिटी स्किप नहीं कर सकते. वन मोर थिंग, अगर आप कोर्ट में बैठे हो, विच एवर कोर्ट यू आर प्रैक्टिसिंग इन, हर कोर्ट में ना बैठकें लगती है. देयर आर मल्टीपल ग्रुप्स ऑफ पीपल. हर कोर्ट में, कोर्ट प्रीमाइसेस में एक चाय की एक कैंटीन में पॉलिटिक्स भी डिस्कस हो रही होगी और उसी कैंटीन में लीगल एस्पेक्ट्स भी डिस्कस हो रहे होंगे. यू हैव टू चूज विच कंपनी यू वांट. जिस दिन आपने वो चूज कर लिया, आई थिंक यू आर सॉर्टेड इन लाइफ.
That's a great insight, ma'am. This political and legal thing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now all the questions are over, ma'am. And with your permission, may I move towards the vote of thanks?
Sure.
Thank you. It's been a session of an absolute knowledge and enlightenment on our topic, career in litigation, its nuances and future. Your words have cleared some of the certain doubts that we were having, and it has shed light on our path as well. I'm sure the future viewers of this video would also be going to have an enriching experience from this. I, on behalf of Team VAIDHA, extend our sincere gratitude to you for sparing your valuable time with us despite your busy schedule. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you so much for having me. I had a great time. Thank you.
If you like this video, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this VAIDHA Legal's YouTube channel, and do comment below and provide your suggestions on any legal subject which you want us to take up in the upcoming videos.